Here we are in section 3.1 exercises, part C, numbers 15 through 19. Number 15, it says 48 is 9 more than 3 times a number. What is the number? Well, we know we're going to have 48 at the end. 9 more than is a plus sign. 3 times a number. Well, it says what is the number? We've got to pick a variable. We can pick any variable we want to and say, hey, this is x. And that's what we do. We say that there's our x right there. Now we translate. Think about how we can turn this into an equation, and we can translate this directly. Where it says 48 is 9 more than 3 times a number. And that's our number right there. Now look at what we've just done. We've created an equation where if we get x by itself, we have found what x will solve this, will make this true. Great, we can do that. We know how to do this. Getting x by itself, we have to first get rid of the 9, so we subtract 9 from both sides. And we now have 3x equals, what's 48 minus 9? That's 39. Okay, how do we solve that one? Let's write it up here. So we have a little bit of room to work. 39 equals 3x. Well, we divide both sides by 3. Divide both sides by 3, and we get that x equals 39 divided by 3 is 13. So that's our number, 13. Let's check our answer. And number 15, x equals 13. Good. Number 16, we have 18 less than 7 times a number is 80. There's our data. Those are the numbers. And again, what is the number? Let's pick a variable. Well, x is a really common one, so let's do that x right here. So we've got 7 times a number. Now notice it doesn't say 18 subtract 7 times a number. It says 18 less than, which means we're starting at 7x and then we subtract 18. This is how you have 18 less than something, is when you subtract it. Is means equals, so that's equals 80. All right, from there, look, we have an equation and we can solve it. Add 18 to both sides, and we're left with 7x equals 98. Let's rewrite that over here where we have a little bit more room. 7x equals 98. We can divide by 7 on both sides to get that x by itself and find out what that number is. X equals 98 divided by 7 is indeed 14. Let's double check that answer. X is 14. And you can check and stick it back in, say, okay, if the number's 14, does it really make sense? 18 less than 7 times 14? Well, 7 times 14 is 98. 18 less than 98 is indeed 80. All right, let's see what we have here. Number 17. Two numbers add to 151. So 151 is an important number that we've got. The second is 21 bigger than the first. What are the two numbers? Now, if you notice this right here, we need two numbers. So we need two variables. Let's do an x and a y. This is our first number, and this one is our second. Okay, so now that we've got our variables, two numbers add up to 151. So that means the equation that comes out is x plus y equals 151. Now this is an equation that has two variables. We can't find one of them until we know something about either x or y. If we knew x was 17 or 23 or 96, we could solve it. So we look to this second clue here and write that out. The second, that is y, is 21 bigger than the first. Now look, it told us something about y, so we can take this information about what that second number is and bring it right over there and substitute it in there. So we now have this equation to be x plus, we don't have to use y anymore, we can use 21 plus x to equal 151. Oh, that's nice. Now this is an equation. Look at that. We should draw a little smiley face right there. We have an equation that we now know how to solve, and we can do it. Combine these x's together, so we have 2x plus 21 equals 151. Let's move clear over here and solve that. We know how to do that one. 2x plus 21 equals 151. Good. Let's subtract 21 from both sides. 2x equals 130. And when we divide by 2, we now have x equals 65. That means our first number, x, is 65. We've got one of the numbers right there. How are we going to find that second one? Well, we could, two numbers add up to 151, so we could take 151 minus 65. Or we can say x is 65 right here, and say 21 plus 65 equals, that must be 86. So y has to be 86. Look at that. 65 and 86. Do they really add up to 151? Yes. Is this one really 21 bigger than that? That's correct. Let's double check that answer. Yeah, 65 and 86 are our two numbers. Number 18. Two numbers add up to 436, and the first is 134 bigger than the second. What are the two numbers? Notice it's searching for two numbers again. Let's pick two variables. Let's pick some nice easy ones. First and second, f and s. So let's read through it again. Two numbers add to 436. So the two numbers are f and s. And it says they add to 436. So that gives us this equation. F plus s equals 436. This equation by itself isn't enough. We can't solve it. We can't, f and s. We need to know something about one or the other of them. And if we do that, we'll be able to, let's see what it tells us. The first is 134 bigger than the second. So it says the first is 134 bigger than, that's plus, the second. Well, that tells us something. Look, we go back to this equation. It tells us what f is. We can take that right there and move it right over there to the f. So we now have 134 plus s. That was our f. We now know that that's what f is. And then the rest of it, plus s, equals 436. Hey, look at that. We've got an equation. Let's put a happy smiley face. We have an equation with one variable that we know how to solve. We can do this. Let's write this over here on the side so we have a little bit more room. 134 plus s, that's 2s, equals 436. We can solve this for s. Subtract 134 from both sides. And we get 2s equals 302. When we divide by 2, we get s is 151. Good. That tells us what the second number is, but it doesn't tell us what the first number is yet. But we can find out. We know that the two of them add up to 436. We could subtract 151 from 436. Or we can look at this equation here and say the first is 134 plus the second. But the second, we just found out, was 151. So let's find out what f has to be. F is going to be 134 plus 151. That's 285. And go ahead and check it. 285 and 151, do they really add to 436? They do. And is 285 bigger than 151 by 134? It is. We found our two numbers. It's like magic. Let's look at the answers here. 151 and 285. Number 19, find the area of the shaded region. Ooh, this is kind of tough. The shaded region, it looks like it's inside of a circle, except they cut out this area right here, that rectangle. They cut out that guy out. Well, we do know how to find the area of a circle. The formula, we can look it up again, is pi r squared. Can we find the radius of the circle? Well, we've got here that the diameter of the circle is 14, so that must be that the radius is 7. So let's see if we can do that. The area of the circle would be pi times 7 squared. Let's punch that in our calculator. Pi times 7 squared equals 153.94. So if we were to color in the whole circle, we'd have 153.94. Now we also know how to do the rectangle. That's a 3 centimeter by 8 centimeter. Area of a rectangle is length times width. So we take 3 times 8 and we get 24. Now notice what this really is. In the circle, we have found out that there are, if we were to draw these as little square patches, they're 153.94, and that would include all of the rectangle as well. But we took out on this one, if we were to draw these as little patches, little square centimeters, we would have 24 square centimeters. And we took those out, like sucked them out of the circle, which means to find the end result, we just need to subtract this. So that means we'll cut out that and just take it out. So subtract it. 153.94 minus 24, let's go ahead and punch that in, minus 24 equals, and we get 129.94. 129.94, and we have found an area, so we know that we are in little square centimeters. Let's double check our answer. 129.9, they just rounded at one different decimal place than we did. Good, that's great.